Hi, I'm Viram.
What's up, I keep stuttering through that. What's up, everybody? Viram here, coming at you with another video. It's a little bit later upload than last week, but it's alright. You're still here watching. So, I wanted to talk about speed dating. Specifically, me. I did something pretty out of character, which was to go on a speed dating event. And if you know me, you know it's a bit of like a red flag for my anxiety, not for dating. But I wanted to share my experience and whether or not I think it was actually worth going and doing, you know, if you're kind of like me. So I wanted to set up the story with kind of my outfit, kind of what I did to get ready. I took a shower, you know, the classics, you know, trim myself up, make sure I kind of look nice. I put on a pair of jeans, which another thing, if you don't know me, I don't wear jeans very often. I'm pretty much a chronic shorts wearer, but I put on a nice pair of jeans and I put on this t-shirt, and I thought, oh, what better way to go out and face my anxiety by wearing a goofy shirt that kind of shows who I am outside of being a nervous wreck. Figured to be a good conversation starter, but let me tell you, nobody mentioned it at all. Not even like, oh, cool shirt, bro. Just radio silence from everyone. So what made this really hard, which I've probably already mentioned, is my crippling social anxiety, especially going alone. I had a buddy who was going to come with me to kind of help with getting past some of that, but unfortunately he wasn't feeling too good, so I ended up making myself go alone. And it wasn't terrible doing it by myself, but I think my anxiety was much higher by myself. I didn't have that safety fallback person. So on my drive over, I kept checking my smartwatch to see where my heart rate was, because there's like a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, and my heart rate was averaging around 100 beats per minute, which is not normal for sitting in my car, just driving. I was in a deep fight or flight mode, and I can tell you that I was mostly flight mode. Trying to think of any excuse I could to turn my car around and be like, oh my gosh, I don't know like if I can do this or not. Which I eventually got there, right? And I didn't go in right away. I kind of sat in my car for a minute trying to collect my thoughts and do all that noise. I eventually went in and started I eventually went in and just kind of walked around in there trying to like shake myself out of the nerves. I was doing breathing exercises. That's how nervous I was. I just did it again. But I was like, inhale 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds. That's like telling you how nervous I was. So I eventually went in and found the host, which shout out to that guy. He was incredibly nice. I told him straight up, I was like, hey man, my anxiety is off the charts and I have no idea what I'm doing here. He's super understanding, and he actually walked me through everything. He's like, oh, well, here's these sheets of papers. You write down people's names. You know, this is the order of how it's going to go. He even did a one-on-one, like, warm-up conversation with me to kind of calm my nerves. I mean, it didn't, like, help too incredibly much, because, I mean, talking to the host who's like super outgoing and extroverted is different than like sitting down one-on-one across from somebody that you don't know, that's not there to be nice to you. So I sat down and started doing the first conversation. And the first conversation was probably the most awkward and painful thing I've ever done. My second conversation was not as painful, but it was still very awkward. I didn't know how to like sit in my chair right, fumbling over my words, didn't know what questions to ask, or even just like exist in that space. After the second conversation, they had a break where I kind of was able to calm down a little bit more and think to myself like, oh well, it's not too bad, it's not the worst thing I've ever experienced, yada yada. And another detail I don't want to miss out on is the event was held at a movie theater called the Alamo Drafthouse. And if you don't know what that is, the Alamo Drafthouse has a bar in it called the Backlot, and that's kind of where it was set up. The whole theme of the speed dating night was, of course, movies. We had these name tags that we put on, and with these name tags, we wrote down our name, and then we had to write down our favorite movies, which I wrote down Everything Everywhere All at Once because that movie is well, everything. But that's a rant, and my love for that can go in another video. So after that kind of break in between the second and third person, I got to the third person, and the first thing that they asked me was, oh, do you think that Everything Everywhere All at Once deserved the Oscar it won? And that just like unlocked me from my shell, I guess. I was pretty ready to go. We ended up having this deep conversation about the movie's themes, identity, and like philosophy. Didn't even feel like speed dating anymore, if that makes sense. It was just a real meaningful conversation. It was just a stranger. I don't even remember their names, honestly. But like the conversation was so cool, it stuck out to me. And for a while after that, I forgot that I was even anxious. Turns out a lot of my conversations that night circled around philosophy, storytelling, meaning behind art. It was awesome, just like discovering what people thought about anything. And while having some like real meaningful conversations with some of these people, I did run into a couple of people that were like, oh yeah, I'm just here with friends and I don't really know why I'm here. It's like my first time being here. And I'm of course like, bro, it's my first time here too. There's no reason to feel nervous or awkward because I'm just as nervous and awkward as you. They were like super relatable people, and we were all there just trying to figure out how to talk to the next stranger ahead of us or behind us. There was one person that kind of stood out a lot. One of the questions I had asked her was, oh, what do you do for fun? And she was telling me how she liked reading books and kind of doing like the stay at home, I guess not to offend anyone, but like typical white woman behavior. But then she told me, oh yeah, and I drive race cars. She was like, it was a thing that came up, an opportunity, and I was just like said, fuck it, I'll do it. I don't know about you, but it caught me off guard to like be talking to someone and it just kind of drops out of nowhere. Oh yeah, by the way, I drive race cars. And it really like struck me in a way of, you don't really know somebody based off how they look, or you know, you can't really tell somebody's story by these first impressions until they tell you something that like you would have never guessed. It's crazy to think how different people are when you can judge them on such surface level things. So it was also kind of a lesson to myself of like, well, maybe I shouldn't judge everyone by the way they look, but it's a very like hard thing not to do. Now, I will tell you that my least favorite question that I got the whole time was, what do you do? What do you do for work? And I get it, it's like a go-to question, but I don't necessarily love talking about work because I'm not at work. Why do I want to talk to a stranger about work when I just kind of want to know who they are? It's like, I don't think work is necessarily like that exciting unless it's an exciting job or it really tells you who a person is based off of their job. I don't think if I'm like, oh, I work in a warehouse, you're gonna get a gist of who I am as personality wise. I mean, you do have like warehouse humor and things like that, but you never really know who someone is through just how they look or where they work at. I want to connect over interests or values than job titles, which I can tell you my last two conversations I had with people there was like the strongest conversations I had. It could have been just because I was feeling so good at that point, just being out, or if I had like a real connection with these people. It's hard to tell. It was just two human beings talking, no pressure, and I kind of really enjoyed those. I want to talk about the matching system that they had going. So they gave us a sheet of paper at the beginning that we wrote down our names on, or well, we wrote their names on, and when you finished talking to that person, they had a little checkbox on whether or not you wanted to keep talking to that person or keep like in contact with them. And at the end of the night, the Alamo staff would take the papers from us and then they would email us like, oh yeah, this person matched with you, and then they would exchange our email informations. It's kind of a cool way of, or it's like a better version of Tinder or the online dating apps, which those suck, by the way. Don't get me started on those. In the end, I didn't match with anyone, and yeah, I feel a little bummed about it, but honestly, I'm kind of glad that it didn't, because now I get to try again. And maybe next time I'll go with more confidence and less panic, hopefully. What really matters to me is that I challenge myself. I went alone, I pushed through my anxiety, and that gives me hope. Hope that I can step outside my bubble and take one small step at a time. So I wanted to throw it to you guys. Have you done anything lately that pushed you out of your comfort zone? How do you handle your anxiety in situations like that? So go ahead and drop a comment. I'd really love to hear your stories. If you're struggling with anxiety, just know it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. You are capable of more than you think. Keep showing up for yourself, even in small ways. It adds up. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate you watching. I do want to try to hit 100 subscribers at some point. Like, that would be like a really good goal for me to hit. It doesn't have to be by the end of this year, but like, let's say 1 year from now, April 10th of 2026, if I have 100 subscribers, that would be dope as hell. Thanks for being here while I shared like my experience with this speed dating thing, and I wanted you to know that I appreciate you guys more than you probably know. So until next time, deuces. I duh, uh, uh,